As I was turning in at my door, I ran into old Salamana. I asked him into my room, and he informed me that his dog was definitely lost. He had been to town to inquire, but it wasn't there, and the staff told him it had probably been run over. When he asked them whether it was any use inquiring about it at the police station, they said the police had more important things to attend to than keeping records of stray dogs run over in the street. I suggested he should get another dog, but reasonably enough, he pointed out that he would become used to this one, and it wouldn't be the same thing. I was seated on my bed, with my legs up, and Salamana on a chair beside the table, facing me, his hands spread on his knees. He had kept on his battered felt hat and was mumbling away behind his draggled yellowish mustache. I found him rather boring, but I had nothing to do and didn't feel sleepy. So, to keep conversation going, I asked some questions about his dog, how long he had it, and so forth. He told me he had got it soon after his wife's death. He was married rather late in life. When a young man, he wanted to go on stage. During his military service, he would often play in the regimental theatricals and acted rather well, so everybody said. However, finally, he had taken a job in the railway, and he didn't regret it. As now he had a small pension, he and his wife had never hit it off very well, but they all got used to each other, and when she died, he felt lonely. One of his mates on the railway, whose beach had just had pups, had offered him one, and he had taken it as a companion. He only had to feed it from the bottle at first, but as a dog's life is shorter than a man's, they would grow old together, so to speak. He was a cantankerous brute, Solomon said. Now and then we had some proper set-offs, he and I, but he was a good mood all the same. I said he looked well-bred, and that evidently pleased the old man. Oh, but you should have seen him before his illness, he said. He had a wonderful coat. In fact, that was his best point, really. I tried hard to cure him. Every mortal night, after he got that skin disease, I rubbed an ointment in. But his real trouble was old age, and there is no curing that. Just then I yawned, and the old man said he would better make a move. I told him he could stay, and that I was sorry about what happened to his dog. He thanked me, and mentioned that my mother had been very fond of his dog. He referred to her as "your poor mother," and was afraid I must be feeling her that terribly. When I said nothing, he added hastily and with a rather embarrassed air that some of the people in the street said nasty thing about me, because I would send my mother to home. But he, of course, knew better. He knew how devoted to my mother I had always been. I answered, why, I still don't know, that it surprised me to learn I would produce such a bad impression. As I couldn't afford to keep her here, it seems the obvious thing to do to send her to a home. In any case, I added, for years she will never had a word to say me, and I could see she was moping, with no one talked to. Yes, he said, and at home one makes friends anyhow. He got up, saying it was high time for him to be in bed, and added that life was going to be a bit of a problem for him, under the new conditions. For the first time since I would know him, he held out his hand to me, rather shyly, I thought, and I could feel the scales on his skin. Just as he was going out of the door, he turned and, smiling a little, said, "Let's hope the dogs won't bark again tonight. I always think it's mine I hear." It was an effort waking up that Sunday morning. Mary had to jog my shoulders and shout my name. As we wanted to get into water early, we didn't trouble about breakfast. My head was itching slightly, and my first cigarette had a bitter taste. Mary told me I looked like a mourner at a funeral, and I certainly did feel very limp. She was wearing a white dress and had hair loose. I told her she looked quite ravishing like that, and she laughed happily. On our way out, we banged on Raymond's door, and he shouted that he will be with us in a jiffy. We went down to the street, and because of my being rather under the weather and her having kept the blind down in my room, the glare of the morning sun hit me in the eyes like a shanded fist. Mary, however, was almost dancing with the lights and kept repeating, "But I have only day." After a minute, I was feeling better and noticed that I was hungry. I mentioned this to Mary, but she paid no attention. She was carrying an oil clutch bag in which she had straw or bed kit and a towel. Presently, we heard Raymond shutting his door. He was wearing blue trousers, a short-sleeved white shirt, and a straw hat. I noticed that his forearms were rather hairy, but the skin was very white beneath. The straw hat made Mary giggle. Personally, I was rather put off by his get-up. He seemed in high spirits and was whistling as he came down the stairs. He greeted me with, "Hello, old boy," and addressed Mary as Mademoiselle. On the previous evening, we had visited the police station, where I gave evidence for Raymond about the girls having been false to him, so they let him off with a warning. They didn't check my statement. After some talk on the doorstep, we decided to take the bus. The beach was within easy walking distance, but the sooner we got there, the better. Just as we were starting for the bus stop, Raymond plucked my sleeve and told me to look across the street. I saw some Arabs lounging against the tobacconist's window. They were staring at us silently, in the special way these people have, as if we were blocks of stone or dead trees. Raymond whispered that the second Arab from the left was his man, and I thought he looked rather worried. However, he assured me that all that was ancient history. Mary, who hadn't followed his remarks, asked, "What is it?" I explained that those Arabs across the way had a grudge against Raymond. She insisted on our going at once. Then Raymond laughed and squared his shoulders. "The young lady was quite right," he said. "There is no point in hanging about here.